Welcome everybody. Today, first of all, I'm David Eichels with David Richard Gallery here in Santa Fe, and today we have Jessamyn Lovell. This is part of her DIY PI series of performances, and prior to that, we also have the clinic, several clinic visits. So this is the third of the three installments that we're doing as part of this exhibition, History, Her Story. And I'm going to go ahead and let Jessamyn just take it away. I'm sure she's got something planned. I never know what she's going to do, so
well,
stay tuned.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I do have a plan, and I have two folks that are here that are in on the plan. But I just need to start by, I just want to shake off the clinic a little bit, and I'm not being dramatic. I have to say, this 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock slots, I had 3 slots that were filled this time, and I'm glad that there were only 3. They were really intense, and they hadn't started that intense, so I think the first session that I had back in June was very lighthearted and even fictional. There were some fictional things that people wanted to bring to me and play with this idea of art and performance, and I really appreciated that. And then last week, I think I did some remote, just very simple, direct historical stuff and document-related stuff. And then this week, it was kind of like the end, the final, the finale, and I had 3 really important and interesting, 2 really personal, super personal family questions, and then the other one was a really intense historical question, which I'm really excited and honored, actually really grateful that I got to be a witness to those questions and to those stories. And keep in mind, the stories they have to stay within the 15 minutes, and keeping even smaller than that if they want to give any feedback or strategy from me. And so what those one-on-one performances are really about is that artwork, that piece existing in that room, in that space, for that time, for just that moment. And so there's no way that it can exist outside of that, although I am really grateful to one person who was able to let me document it in a photograph, a sort of torn up piece of paper that I had written the whole story on, and she decided she wanted it to be destroyed, and so we did that. So we're starting a little late so we could actually make that action happen, and I view it as absolutely a performance. And so I wanted to put that out there to start by saying, to kind of go into this idea of something that I've been thinking about since the panel on Wednesday that I was really honored to participate in, led by Catherine Ware, and then with Abby Hepner and Cara Romero, my fellow artists in the exhibition, 2 of the other artists. And the question was the last question that Kate asked, probably the meatiest one, which was about the sort of impact we feel like our work is attempting to make on social justice issues or issues of existing in the world and how we make the world better, things like that. And I went off on this track about academia and empowering myself against the hierarchy and patriarchy of academia and the world. And I felt really good about that answer, and I felt really empowered to say that answer. And you can look at the video if you really want to see at the very end that very pointed answer. But what I really wanted to say was about what just happened in the DIY PI clinic, which was about witnessing. So what just came up for me is that I think one of the most important things about my work is that I'm serving as a witness to someone's story, to what they're telling me. And sometimes that's a very personal and confidential story, which is like really intense for me because I'm holding space for that. And I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a licensed private investigator yet even. And so what gives me the authority to sit and hold space for that person other than me convincing them that it's okay? And so I felt really moved to be able to be in those spaces over the past couple weeks with a lot of new potential clients. And it really makes me feel like I'm doing something that's really important. And not just for me, I think it's important to make artwork for yourself, of course, and I do it for myself and for my family and for, you know, the world, but also like for those collaborators, even if it's just for a 15-minute period of time. So I wanted to start there because I was feeling it. And then I wanted to introduce to anyone who hadn't tuned in last time, I'd introduced my husband and fellow artist, Lee Montgomery, and he's helping me to harness the power of storytelling and to communicate to folks what I am even doing in Do It Yourself Private Investigation, my project. So he's helped me with the sound, and he's also helping me conceive of like how to talk about it and communicate in a concise way. And so the first part of this will be a little bit of discussion around some of the current cases and some of the things that I've accomplished in the past couple of weeks since I last did this forum. And then the second part will be, I'm very excited to talk to my friend and fellow artist, Dorielle Caney, and she and I are gonna reveal what we've been working on and what the form it takes right now and what we might see it change, how we might see it change. So that's what this looks like in the next, I guess, 40 minutes or so, and then I'll make sure to reserve some time at the end for questions. And I would really encourage anyone, obviously here in the physical audience, to ask me questions, and Dorielle will be here as well, so folks can ask her questions. But also anyone who's tuning in through the Instagram story or through the Facebook Live, to please send me questions. And I'm sure if you send them to David Richard Gallery, they could forward them to me. So sorry, I'm not trying to make them right for the gallery because they've done an incredible job supporting me in this. I'm very grateful for the History Her Story exhibition and all the people who coordinated it and created it. So send me questions, send me your cases, send me your stories. And so my son is here in the audience, so those disruptive noises you hear are him. But he's being very diligent in documenting me with his GoPro camera, so I'm grateful to him as well. So thank you, Lee. Come on over and okay.
Oh.
So I have a loose script here, but I already revealed a lot. So.
Well, no, I think it was interesting what you were just talking about, because it leads into, I think, the first question that I was going to ask. So I think we've always talked about, like, I'm here to ask questions and kind of be a fill-in for the audience, if you will. I mean, you guys are here, but you know, you guys out there.
The greater audience, the larger audience.
And so, I mean, one of the questions that I think you have in private conversations with me talked about, and that I think warrant some public discussion, is this idea, like, I think you had someone at one point say that they wouldn't want to use you as a private investigator because of the art component of what you do, that they're very private in terms of everything they do. And I think there is some confusion around the idea of, like, you're a private investigator, but then there's this public aspect. And so, I mean, what would your response be to someone who says, like, well, I would come to you, but I don't think you're really a private investigator because you're doing these public descriptions?
Or that anything that they would tell me or anything I would uncover about their question or their query would be revealed publicly. So I mean, that was literally something someone said to me recently, and I was taken aback because I guess I was naive enough to think, like, well, don't you trust me? Like, do you trust that I wouldn't reveal your private information and without obviously talking? And so I guess the first place I would start with is the contract. The legal contract I created specifically for this project has become really important for me as, like, a boundary sort of setting tool, and also like parameters, so that I worked with several lawyers on it actually, and then each individual and I collaborate on the contract to determine what are we doing. So I think I've talked about in the past, there's like a spectrum of kinds of cases. And I will say that when I've done a lot of service of process lately, which is delivering summons or delivering some legal document physically in person to someone else. And I don't know them, and I'm hired usually by a lawyer or someone else. And so those I don't have contracts usually for, because it's implied, like this is a job I'm doing for $50 or $75 or whatever, and I'm handing it to the person and then I'm done. So there isn't really any need to have anything formal, you know, in writing, whatever, other than like the invoice. But then the other end of it is sort of these like more private and meaty sort of confidential matters that someone's looking for help with. And I think honestly, usually they're coming to me with these questions because either they know me and they already have trust built with me, or I'm cheap or free. And so that's where
Maybe you're not cheap.
my services as a private investigator are, you know, are gaining in value as I get more skilled. But, you know, especially in the earlier, like a year ago, I talked about this missing husband situation that ended up being a divorce. And the person had no money to hire me, but I was really hungry for hours. And man, did I work a lot of hours. And a lot of those hours were completely fruitless. Like they had no actual like use other than to me to figure some things out and learn skills. And that was really beneficial to me. And so, you know, it was an even exchange. I felt like that case is closed, but as the sort of cases get more like a little bit more intense and like demanding in a way, I have found ways of figuring out one-on-one with the person, like, is this something that could be art? And a lot of times I don't even approach it until after the case is done.
So if somebody is reluctant around that, it's not like you trying to convince them to do it, it's more you have a conversation and if it seems to fit, then it fits.
Oh yeah, I have no interest in making art out of someone else's story that they need to remain private and intact. And in fact, if I write something down in a book, in my book, and I'm telling them this is private, this will not ever be read by anyone else, I will keep under lock and key in my own studio. If that's uncomfortable for them, it gets destroyed, it's done. Like there's no question, because it's more important to me that trust is built, and then that if I have to, you know, completely let go of that as best I can, I will do it. You know, that's really important to me.
And you just did that.
And I just did that, yeah, unexpectedly, but yeah. And it makes me feel like that, like when that came up for me, that's what the work is. It is private investigation. I am charging for skills that I'm learning and sharing with clients, but I'm also holding space and being a witness, and whatever that needs to be, it is. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a lawyer, like I said, but I am using different skills as like something that I think maybe no one has done before. I'd like to think that. So maybe like it's more akin to something a medium would do, or a psychic, even though I don't have those skills either.
Well, I also wonder, because I think that I remember us having a conversation about sort of the idea, and this isn't how we talked about it then, but it's more how I'm conceptualizing it now. The idea of like that you're revealing your process or revealing anything about the cases, even with the agreement of the participants, is sort of like a magician revealing its tricks, like within, like among other private investigators.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. I just heard that episode about magic on This American Life, and it totally reminded me of that, because it's sometimes more interesting how the practicality of creating the space, that's more interesting than the actual mystery around, like, is it magic or not? But the other thing is too, like, I'm not making art out of people's stories. I'm making art out of my experience as a trained private investigator. So that's where, to me, it gets a little muddy, and I can totally understand why folks would see that as like real gray area. Now, I'm someone that really thrives on trying to learn about life through uncomfortableness and darkness and uncertainty. And that's something that I know is not for everyone, and that not everyone feels that way, and it's not everyone's ready, frankly, to go into that space and learn from it. But I like to think of myself as a facilitator to try to do that. And that's not always appropriate in more practical cases like this one I just closed, the client 020. That was really intense for me. And my experience of that case is something I need to make artwork about. And so I'll obviously have a conversation with that client, but I also know full well, even before having a conversation with that client, I promise not to make art about that client. So what does that mean for me? So that could be, all right, then I learned how to interview in that. I learned more, I gained more skill around interviewing. I didn't just learn how to interview, I gained skill around interviewing. So what I've done is because I'm working on this project with Nornisa Tushon, she's helping me with a video about this project, and she and I met with a friend of mine, my friend of mine's daughter, and she volunteered to be the subject of my interview. And so I made a work about my experience interviewing young women that was extremely intense and emotional for me, and I asked her to reenact a totally different scenario that had not, and in that, it came to be that I learned that my friend's daughter actually had a case for me. So then we stopped the recording, we turned off the sound, and she and I met and had that conversation. So I honestly couldn't make up a better story than that. To me, that's like.
So there is like this liminal space that probably most private investigators would never even know about, where like through the process of doing an interview or of making the art, you're also learning about cases that might have never made it to a private investigator. And so
definitely.
And it seems like there's a lot to talk about actually around the idea of documenting the process.
Right.
And I mean, it's been, just in terms of our family, like you're working on this video for a show, and so I have to watch Rudy, and I'm like, are we,
Yeah.
like, what's the schedule this week?
Yeah.
What
or
do
for
I
the
have
next
to do?
6 hours,
What are you
or
gonna do?
yeah. Well,
And it also seems like there's some invasiveness to the documentation. So I don't
Yeah.
know where you.
yeah, I mean, the perfect example really leads into Dorielle really well, actually, and I don't know if that's premature, but time-wise, but it really leads in nicely to that, because one perfect example this week was Dorielle and I were meeting about this performance and about our project. So she was a client and a friend and a collaborator in performance, and Nornisa, the videographer, was going to come and record that interaction. And I was like, that was my idea. I was like, this is perfect because she's a client and you can get video of us interacting. But then something happened for me when it came to the day of, that morning of. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't have such a meta microscope on every single, like, I just wanted to meet with my friend and collaborator and like talk. And yet I'm realizing I'm in a performance mode when this is happening. So strangely, Nornisa was really under the weather that morning and called and was like, I'm so sorry, I'm not gonna be able to make it. And I was like, it's okay, it's actually fine. Because then I was gonna have a meeting with Nancy at Central Features about the show, and Nornisa was gonna record that too. And I was like, that's okay. And so it gave me a moment of reflection to learn, like, what do I really need? I don't know what I need documentation of until it happens. And so, and there's some things I can't document, absolutely can't document.
What are there, I mean, I think you had mentioned also this week there was a time when there was documentation happening, and it kind of maybe got in the way of.
Oh, so it's a little bit of an embarrassing story. I know I asked you to bring it up. But it is, now that you're bringing it up and I'm talking to a public audience, I'm like,
Well,
how do I explain this?
You don't have to, I mean,
I was doing
just
surveillance.
to know that that's
yeah,
true.
I was doing surveillance, and I thought, oh, this will be a good opportunity for Nornisa to document me doing surveillance. And I don't know, probably everyone out there, anyone listening or thinking about this is like, that's a terrible idea. But I thought it was a really good idea, because it's like, I am gonna be the one that goes that far. I am gonna do my surveillance and have someone documenting me doing my surveillance, and it was fine. It was it felt wrong. And so we're not doing that anymore. She wasn't getting video of the person I was surveilling necessarily, but then it ended up that she did, and I'm like, oh my god, now I have to destroy this, and I can't use this, and so now I'm just like kind of falling all over myself, like, oh, I don't know what to do with this documentation, because it's really good, but it's also like, So, I mean, how do you learn what's going to be really epic and awesome without trying it and then failing? And that's the space that you just have to become really comfortable with. I know from your work that you've done in the past, like you just have to become comfortable with this could bomb, this could not work, and maybe at times it's rambling and it doesn't, but it's authentic, and that space of authenticity like is so important to me in this, and that's why I actually invited Dorielle to participate, because she's someone I really respect in her authenticity and in her genuine willingness to expose her vulnerabilities and be shot down and be told, no, that's not going to work, and how you shouldn't make a big painting of a naked woman, or you shouldn't make a big painting and stab the canvas and destroy it. And so I really respect when people can come to their practice with this real openness for failure and
So you guys are on equivalent ground.
I don't know. She's pretty. I don't know if I could say that roughly.
Well,
So
then
maybe I should talk.
maybe I should walk. I just want to quickly say, though, that there's absolutely no feeling like I am unfairly burdened with taking care of our child. I would hate to come off as sounding like the husband who's like, what? My wife is supposed to take care of the kid, but it's just the disruption of the schedule that I was.
No, and I will say too. I mean, that's for another podcast probably.
Yeah.
But I think that challenge that we faced around my work, your work, and then our home life, and our child, it's like just our dishes piling up in the sink. Like all of that, I feel like is something very human that everyone navigates. And in fact, we spent a summer traveling around the East Coast, staying with friends and observing, like, wow, everyone has a totally different way of making this work. And so I'd love to explore that in a future episode for sure.
No, I just was covering my butt.
I know you were. I was trying to smooth the edges. Thank you, baby.
Sure.
Dorielle, come on down. Thanks for watching my kid.
Oh, he's so cute.
Nice to see you.
Oh, I'm so sweaty. It's so hot outside.
Oh no, you had an adventure getting here.
Well, I was gonna call an Uber, but I kept hitting David Richards' gallery, and it wouldn't go.
It wouldn't
so I
go.
don't know.
So you just walked here.
Speed walked here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't been in sessions. I would have had Rudy go and drive
It
me.
was fine as long as I was.
But you're here.
To get here at 4:06.
It was fine. It turns out.
Okay, great.
How are you?
Good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Take it
Some
down.
water. Here's some water.
I'm having this.
Uh-huh.
I already opened it. It's mine. All
And
right.
this is mine too, because I need to hydrate. So we had some adventures this week,
Oh my God.
and we had some misadventures.
It was just so we can talk about it, right?
We can totally talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
We should talk about it. We should process, because I actually genuinely want to check in with you.
I know.
Listen,
Let's not talk about it until tomorrow when we're on camera
This is real.
and we're being recorded. So yesterday you PI'd me.
I followed you.
You totally did.
I feel really terrible because we didn't make that agreement.
No, I was so glad you did it. Okay, there was this moment though. I kind of got the hint that maybe you were sort of leaking out of our scheduled time, which is good because I didn't want to expect
Let's
it.
back
right?
up. Let's back up.
Because
we want
people might be not know
We're
what
talking,
they're saying.
but we want to include our friends here, our audience.
Okay.
So I have here on the script brief recap from last meeting, which I think is pretty helpful to fill people in. I think where we left the last performance was that we were going to work on a collaboration together that we had hinted or kind of lightly come up with, but hadn't fleshed out yet.
Right.
And that collaboration, as I recall, because it's changed a bit, was to work with probably friends or young, not young, but any woman, and then maybe could be man, but some models who would agree to collaborate with us and allow us to document them in mundane moments, but we really didn't know what that was gonna look like,
Right.
or,
Right.
so then we agreed to meet about it and start the
did.
project.
Yes, we talked about it and we thought, why don't we just start with me as the subject? I'm already here.
You paint yourself,
I
you
paint
have
myself.
painted
I
yourself.
paint myself anyway. When I hire models, I'm constantly looking for certain expressions. I maybe said that already, but I'll like if I'm hiring a model, I'll write down what kinds of expressions I want them to practice.
Yeah.
Like surprise or
Yeah.
something like that.
Can you show me some expressions that you asked them to do?
God, like I asked for a girl to be pulling down a big balloon and look up at this ominous balloon. Surprise at
Yeah.
looking at her hands, just for whatever reason, I have all these weird ideas for paintings.
And did you follow
discuss
those?
pleading? There was I would ask for the sitter to look to the camera and really just look for empathy from the audience. So if you can imagine how to do that, I would ask them to try and figure out how to look kind of at the gaze at the back of the audience and ask for some.
So these are like distinct, different, like directed expressions.
Yeah.
And so that's not what you were looking for from
No, I
what we
was
were gonna
looking
work
for
together.
like surprise ones, and I think you got some.
Like unaware.
Yeah.
I didn't bring the pictures with me,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I feel like we need to still talk more before
Okay.
we. No. But so we met earlier this week and came up with this kind of I think this is like a stream of consciousness, like under our meeting here, surveillance and self-observation, how it influences your work, which we talked about as being sort of like self-portraiture and being a woman in particular, and the gaze. We talked about the gaze being really important in your work. And then we talked about your own behaviors and seeing body as a tool. We talked about, like, I thought it was pretty telling, like good information that we uncovered from my perspective. I was thinking body positivity and like just having a real, like being able to embrace your own physical form.
Yeah.
And that felt really important to us.
Right.
For models and then we talked about like how we could capture these unaware moments. And I don't think we actually came up with any strategies.
No, I think we kind of wanted
This
to
was the strategy. Was
jump
like,
into it a little bit. And just,
so we tried to do the thing where we were buying a canvas and it didn't work out because I was busy and dropped the ball. But then we did a redo where, so what did you have in mind when you said, okay, I'll be a good sign. Shout out to a good sign, Tammy and Josh. We both get our prints down there.
Yeah.
What were you thinking was a good, like, why was that a good place? Or why was grocery shopping? You had brought up grocery shopping. What were the places you were thinking? What were you hoping to
I
get?
was thinking
Like, how did you
somewhere,
imagine that happening?
somewhere public, but at first I had the idea that it would be, you'd be up close, and, but the problem with that is that I would know you were
Exactly.
really there, you were there, and then so I decided somewhere public, somewhere where I'm running an errand and where I'm working with somebody, so I thought we would.
Because you'd be
start out-
distracted?
I'd be distracted, I'd be talking to somebody, I'd know you were there. But here's the thing, Jessamyn, I didn't know how good you were at this. I'm so sorry to underestimate you, but you were really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was so surprised. You were so sneaky.
Thank you.
And, I got
I don't think it
there.
was that good, actually.
I
found it really challenging because you knew I was going to be there, and so I was like
Yeah.
trying to be sneaky. I even told Josh ahead of time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing something sneaky.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't know how to do it without you knowing.
Yeah. When I got there, you said that you may
Yeah.
have already
Yeah.
PI'd me. What's the word you use?
Surveilled.
Surveilled me. And that was really exciting and surprising and kind of scary.
Yeah, you seemed a little unsettled.
Yeah, and it was a kind of
I
good in a good way.
exaggerated a little.
Okay.
I hadn't been following you all day or anything.
Oh crap.
I was
hoping you followed me to the Mazda dealership.
I should have done that.
You should have
but
gone.
I was caught up in other things.
Oh, that would
But
be
I
so
did,
cool.
but I did follow you. I waited, I got there early and I waited for you to come and arrive in a good sign, and then you circled And then I had my chance, and then I documented you from across the street, walking down the street. And I showed our friend Ani those pictures. I put
Okay,
in mine,
that's
because
okay.
I wanted to see what she thought of them,
That's
knowing
okay.
you.
Uh-huh.
And I think they're pretty good pictures. And I think they're like what you're after. But I also feel like if you see them, you're gonna be thinking about that when I'm photographing you, if I continue to photograph you. So I guess my question is like, how important is it that you're unaware? Is that like what, because again.
It's really important for me to be unaware. That is what
Yeah.
I realized right away, is because when I knew you were in the shop, when I was picking up my clients
Right.
yesterday, I felt like I was on stage. So that was different. And then when I left, I wasn't expecting you to follow me.
Right.
And that's where I just.
Well, I didn't ask permission.
That's okay.
And I felt bad about it, but I also was like, but how am I gonna get her unaware if I don't?
I was excited.
And I
was
kind of
excited.
latched on. I kind of got excited. I was like, I want to document her and get her unaware more than I am concerned if she is bothered by me following her. And I think that might be right. And so I'm struggling with that. Like,
Well, it's not wrong for me, because I don't
Uh-huh.
mind, and I'm open to it, because
Uh-huh.
we've been talking about it. I think if you have the right subject who's open to it, says from like this
Right.
time to this time, Monday through Friday, I may or may not
Yeah.
be
Well,
following you, or
so
even
this is
just.
the idea I have. What if you send me a list
Mhm,
of just like 3 or 4 things you're gonna do during the week,
mhm,
and approximately when and where,
mhm.
and then some of those I might
Yeah,
be there or not.
okay, that's a little.
It's still harder, honestly, to be stealth
Yeah.
because I know you're like, don't remember what you told me.
Yeah, okay,
Try to forget that
Okay.
you told me a list.
okay.
Or have JP go through, have your husband go through and pick random things and tell me, so you don't know. I
That's
just
a
don't want
really
you
good
to
idea.
know.
That's a really good idea, because how am I gonna know? Because I think there was one moment when I was driving home, and I don't know how you did this, it was so amazing. It was
Well, you caught me.
It was
That's
like
not good.
you were Spider-Man. No, I caught you after like zoom.
At
So
your
I was
place,
I was going up Kit Carson Park.
Yeah.
And I stopped at the stop sign.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Nirvana.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I like looked over this way.
Uh-oh.
Up the street
Uh-oh.
as I was going through, and I see
Uh-oh.
you in there. Like I did not know you were gonna be there. And I was like, and I think that's what you caught. I'm kind of hoping that's what you caught, and I was so excited. But I was like, whoa, she is really good. And I just died laughing afterwards.
Well, I followed you to your house, and I thought I was being all tricky, because like, I don't know that whole area, but I was just kind of in, and I tried to Google map it, and I was like,
Yeah.
Google map.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was like driving, and I let you go by that golf course, and then I kept following it a parallel street, and like
Yeah.
looking up, and I was literally in the intersection where I knew there were stop signs, so the
Yeah,
car
yeah.
didn't come, and I was looking, I think that's when you caught me. But I was feeling
Yeah.
pretty excited about that.
I was excited about that
And
too.
then I got to your house, like up that street that,
Mhm.
that tees with your house,
Yeah.
like it goes right to your house. And
Yeah.
I was driving up it, and I was like, oh, that's her house. And then I saw you walk by,
Yeah.
and then I was like, ah! And I immediately put it in reverse, which is totally not conspicuous, right? I put it in reverse, and I
Yeah.
pulled into the alley,
Yeah.
and then I jumped out, and then I saw from the other side of the building, you were getting your posters because you'd forgotten them.
Yeah. I forgot
Thank
my
goodness you
poster.
forgot them.
Yeah.
But I don't think I got many good pictures of that moment, but it
I
was
was with
like,
sunglasses on,
Yeah.
and I don't know how powerful your lens is.
well, I
But-
learned
Wow.
that I hadn't, this is a new lens, I hadn't
Yeah.
used it a whole lot, and it's a 200 lens, so it's not like the one Mickey Meek described in This American
Mhm.
Life where I can see from a mile away or whatever,
Uh-huh.
but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. That was exciting.
It was exciting. I felt so, I was just like adrenaline was pumping through me. Like, she could be anywhere.
But so I think we should do the list,
I think a list would be
because
good.
I don't want you to be as aware, and I feel
I
like we
think-
have to spread it out
let's-
over like a week or a month, or I don't know.
I think that's a really good idea to spread it
So
out.
you
That
don't
way I
forget.
lose,
Yeah.
I kind of forget that maybe it's happening, and it would be probably good for you to work with somebody who knows me really well, like my husband. So,
So maybe we should meet, if he's comfortable being in contact with me,
I think he might be up for
and just
this.
be like, send me, I mean, it adds a whole other level.
It does, but
Because
this
then
is how
he's
we need to
feeding
get
me information.
those like genuine reactions and interactions of people just in public doing their thing. So we could do it that way.
I
But
kind
yeah,
of love this.
it was-
This is like my
I
favorite thing
was-
I'm doing right now.
I was
so.
blown away. I mean, I was just like,
I mean, I love all my clients, but
so good at this.
This is
She
fun.
could appear anywhere.
that was so nice to get those texts, and I was like, I'm not, because I was actually seeing it from the other perspective. I was like, wow, I'm really not as good at this as I thought I was, because she keeps seeing me, like.
No, but see, the thing is, if I had turned up and looked up the intersection and seen a person with a camera, I wouldn't have paid any attention. I wouldn't have cared.
And that's what I realized I use as a cover a lot, is this person doesn't know me, they're a stranger, they can't
Yeah.
possibly. The
Yeah.
lens though is very obtrusive in public, it's very obvious, and I'm noticing because it's white and very long and large. I should have brought it with me so you could see, but it's not, I don't know, it's weird. People see me and they're like, what is she? And then they kind of, it's Albuquerque, so maybe they just are like, oh, she's shooting a film or something.
Yeah.
That's what I hope, but.
Well, I was just in Whole Foods right before this, and there was a woman in there with a huge camera taking pictures of things. And I didn't, I mean, she only caught my attention just because of the work that we've been doing.
Yeah.
But still, I was just like, she maybe really wants to get
So
close
maybe
to
height
the
and
desserts.
plain sight is helpful.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite to the level where I'm ready to subcontract someone else.
Uh-huh.
But that's the next, probably the
It's
next.
a good idea for people
But anyway.
beyond you who know you.
So let's try that strategy. The next strategy I had in mind that might be a little scarier is like a camera I would install in your studio
Mm-hmm.
that would capture like stop, like kind of similar to these, like where it would be frame by frame, where it would have stills that I could, they wouldn't be high quality though, like what you would want to paint from, but it could be enough to know what kinds of expressions you could ask other people to do. I don't know. I don't know. If that's a good
We're
idea.
still fleshing it out.
Yeah.
But even still, I think that you've got,
We're on a track.
I mean,
feel like.
even if you got, I just love the idea of just painting somebody just, people do all kinds of things in their cars they're not aware.
Well,
People
yeah.
can see.
Oh, I think there's a whole project that one of our former grad students did a long time ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, who did like people in their cars, like photographing people in their cars. And there was something really like kind of conflicting about the piece to me, because it was like unaware. There's lots of projects that have been done like that over the last decade or so as privacy's become more important. But
Yeah. Well, anyways, that was just a fun trip yesterday. That
I'm
was
glad.
just incredible.
Do you do you have any other suggestions of how we could get these, or should we leave it there where I'll try to get a list from John Paul, we'll meet with him?
Yeah, let's leave it there.
And can I update our audience on my Patreon or Instagram, or will
Yes,
you post
please.
it? So
Yeah.
I would say definitely follow Dorielle Caney at Instagram. What's your handle?
Dorielle King.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll maybe post that on this live post or something and direct people to it, so that maybe we'll make a post about that sometime.
Sure.
So your
Yeah.
fans can know about it, and then
Mhm.
I'll be
You
posting
should
an
post
update
it
to
on
Patreon.
your Patreon account. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So Patreon, patreon.com/Jessamyn Lovell, and you can get the public updates for free, and then the juicy details of all of the crazy stories I'm following for small support fees. So, thank you for being on this wild ride with me. I don't think either of us have ever done anything like this.
Me neither.
Thank you to Lee Montgomery, my husband, for helping me set the audio and everything up. Thank you to David and Richard for creating this space and holding this space for me and for Dorielle and for all of the clinic appointments. Also, thank you to the New Mexico Women something art.
New Mexico State Committee for the National Museum of Women in the Arts.
Okay, yes, to those people.
That needs an acronym.
Yeah, Barbara and Eva
It's a mouthful.
and they've just been so incredible actually to me as an artist, and to create the opportunity for all of us artists to show, and I feel really grateful. I can't say that enough. And thank you to the audience, and
Thanks,
until
you
next
guys.
time.